guess we're getting well, let's get rolling. A sign over here. So, hey, Poso, Kunamonte, Uju, Tagoli, looking around the room what languages I got here. Hey, welcome everybody. I'm really excited for y'all to come. I think y'all all know me, but if not, my name's Ryan. I've been teaching at the college for a long time, but 2 decades this fall. So that'll be kind of a fun anniversary I plan to celebrate with a party hat. I'm really excited that y'all made it out here. I want to thank SDI for doing all the work to advertise. It made me a bit where I could just sit back and stumble in, evidently, and I appreciate that. And student government for funding our amazing meal. We appreciate that. And all y'all taking time out of your day to come together and talk about language. My goal is to talk minimally. You all can assess how well I do on that. But what I want to do is before we dive on in, I do want to say one more note of gratitude, and I'm putting Dr. Frank on the spot. You can't see him on the Zoom link, but some people say that I have good ideas, and this is one of the many ideas that are not my own. So this is actually was Dr. Frank's idea. He came up to me after a convocation and said, wouldn't it be cool if we had some language videos about agriculture and business? And so we took that. I say we loosely. I took it and emailed it to these two, and they took it. And so we say Matchalanen, Katanen to you, and Dr. Frank for that. It's time for me to stop talking. And so which one of you wants to be put on the spot first?
Tago.
Hey.
Poso, Menominee, and Mahican, Takan, Winn, Tannen, the Moa, Oshkeshequoam. So Menominee, Richard Oshkeshequoam, was asked to be a part of this project, and I'm glad to be asked, and glad to be asked to be here today with all you fine folk. Well, thank you all for coming and seeing what our project is all about, and hope you guys enjoy it.
Brock Schreiber in the way say, Mahican no Nandamane Yayon. Nothing pay mokta kongwe sokat ne swapana ayua. So my name is Brock Schreiber. I'm Mahican. Happy to be here. There's 2 jars of syrup left that I brought sitting back there on the table if anyone wants them. But anyway, thank you.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm excited to dive on in, but I wanted to lead you all so you could look on your own. So you'll note I'm not just advertising for CMN here, but I am pointing out how to get to where I'm about to go. So if you're unaware of the hamburger over here, and there's a bit of a delay, so I'm going to go slowly without looking behind me perpetually. But under this community and culture tab, we have, I'm assuming that the screen is keeping up without looking, the Let's All Speak the Language library. So if you click on here, it brings you to this page, which has all of the language videos that were put together. And I do want to point out that we got to add Ojibwe here. I know that. Every time I see it, I go, remember to do that, and then I don't. But we have these tabs here, the going back for series 1, that is what we're going to call it, because we're so confident there's going to be a series 2. Y'all can encourage the powers that be if you would like to join us in that vision. But you will note that we have Mohican language, Menominee, Ojibwe, and Oneida. And if you click on any of these, it will sort the videos so you have all the Mohican together, all Menominee together. But if you just want the agriculture videos, which is what we're here to talk about today, is click on agriculture. But you'll note there's 3 videos that are in each language. And so they are similar in content. Certainly the language dictates where we go with these. And I say where they go with these, and put that together. I did want to say too, as just a shout out, is how much work these guys did in planning it and discussing it. But Brock is also the one who records, edits, comes up with the sweet background music. Yeah, that we all. If you've been in my class, you see me dance to that music. I don't know if you've ever seen me dance to that music, but it plays in my head all the time. But yeah, you've seen me dance. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, students are discussing my dance moves. What I thought we would do though is to start off and just and dive on in and watch just video one. But what I wanted to point out about this website, if you click on it, our goal, of course, and to be clear, I say our goal in our Zoom meetings, I mute myself and let them talk. So in the discussion, and it started with these two gentlemen, was this idea about speaking. And so as much as it is the written language, which we wanted to have for access for email or whatnot, if someone wanted to cut and paste or whatnot, maybe put it in your text thread, the idea is to have it spoken aloud. And so that being said, I thought I want to point out that they're behind here, but all of these are available. I'm just assuming that it's keeping up with me. But let's dive on. Oh man, I'm gonna worried about pop-up ads now. I shouldn't do that anymore. Let's dive in. Video one.
Mahican se Katasha. Let's go to the garden. Pescua kahikan mashik napa kampakose napitoan. The spade and shovel I will bring. Pito asewa chakanan. Bring the seeds. Eos and its chekaskahama. Right here we will clear the weeds. Now, Pakohikan Katasaseta will make a small hill. Patakaha Asewachakanan. Cover the seeds. Napewaha Asewachakanan and Netpe Asato Meyawekan. Water the seeds and mark the line.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to put them on the spot here. I told them I was going to interview them. So I was, when we came up with the idea to start the video series here, is we were going to talk about three distinct different things as we went through them. So one is obviously going out to the garden. So perhaps Dr. Frank or anyone else wanted to say, let's head on out, potentially use these terms. And so hopefully a way to memorize the phrases and to we'll say normalize the use of language in everyday conversation. And so I'm curious if, since you guys picked these terms, what thoughts went into it, where that was at, phrases, where we're at. I'm gonna put you on the spot and say, if you don't like my question, change it. But who wants to go first with the phrases we chose? I know what you're thinking. Should I click on the video and remind y'all what they were in English? So go to the garden, bring a spade and hoe, bring the seeds. Right here, we will clear the weeds. We'll make a small hill, cover the seeds, water the seeds, and mark the lines. I want to talk about our process. I say our, I was on mute in these conversations.
I think that it's important to know that no matter how long we've been doing this, still make mistakes, and that that there's always things that are misinterpreted between English and Menominee or English and any language. So a couple of the things I wanted to point out where it says right here we'll clear the weeds. Ayos and it's Chekaskahama. So that is we're here and we're gonna rake, kind of clear it up. There's really no word in there for weeds, so it's kind of implied. Same thing with the word, or I had a hard time finding the one for the last one for mark the lines. So some of the way that we had to approach this was change the wording in English also. Because I believe it said mark the rows or something like that, but which was hard to find. Or hard for me to do. So I ended up choosing to write or to say write the line or mark the line. I think that's good for right now.
Awesome.
One of the things that, so I've been studying Mahican for the last 8 years, teaching Mahican the last 8 years. So I've kind of just been stumbling and making mistakes and figuring things out as I go and making relationships with other learners from different communities and different tribes and teachers. And there's this kind of theme that just kind of developed over time where in my head, I'm always thinking, don't let English be a bully. So don't try to shoehorn Mahican or Menominee or Ojibwe or Oneida. Don't try to shoehorn the Indigenous language into an English kind of format or an English kind of mindset or an English thought process. So like when selecting these kind of phrases, there is like implied meanings to things. So like if you were in a garden or if you were talking about gardening, just as Richard was talking about, you know, there'd be implied meaning and you wouldn't misinterpret what somebody's saying, you know. But another thing is like high frequency words. So when selecting this, it'd be, you can have really specific language that you might only use when you were gardening. But I think we did a pretty good job of selecting high frequency words that will also be helpful. Just those kind of like $1 million phrases that are going to appear in your day over and over and over again. Give me something, pass me something, bring something, give it to them, you know, make something. So just all these kind of high frequency phrases that we put together. I think we did a pretty good job on it.
And those choosing topics. Why not get this back and forth for a while? And, you know, whatever relationship between the languages, seeing that some very simple concepts line up to the point where we just have to find it completely. We're going to have to work for weeks. Or the role is just not something to talk about. Oh, okay. Change the journey in your head a little bit, but you know, what is that common points and then how does it relate pretty fast and see how this process came on. Really happy to hear you guys on this.
Went back to the Menominee words and what Brock said, the word for small hill, the word that I chose, Kahikan, is a small hill specifically for planting vegetables, more or less squash. But there's a different word for hill, which you can use a diminutive ending, which would be small hill. But it's again one of those things that are known or implied when we're talking about these things.
Cool. I appreciate it. I wanted to point out that one of my good friend Brock here is encouraged another member of Speak Mohican to do the video here. So even though Brock was there involved and whatnot, but this is Kanesa who is going to be speaking, and he is learning both Menominee and Mohican. So we'll hear the Mohican version of it right now. So.
Aw tok na wawi kegenik. Let's go to the garden. Nimbantan monhagen on onkska egen. I will bring a spade and a hoe. Pata nen uskeneminan. Bring the seeds. No ene kamok kahunk guanano. We will clear away the weeds here. Onsto, Nikone Tanano Porke. Next, we will make a small hill here. Ke'a nen uskene menan. Plant the seeds. Bethopne onkane mama nak hega ne pork cake. Water them and mark the rows.
So one of the goals of the overall series as we envisioned it, and so was this idea that anyone who is Indigenous nation in the four that we have represented could come to CMN or using the website and have access to a little bit of their language if they wanted to use it, a little bit of phrases to normalize it. The use is absolutely something that I keep hearing in the communities and is to be a part of. And so I'm curious if you guys wanted to talk a little bit about that process across collaboration, and I guess really a little bit to go a step back and why you agreed to be a part of this, that we're putting you on here. We're not privileging any language over the other, and for the four nations we have represented. And so just really why you're a part of this series and something that you see here. I feel like you have to say it's important now, but why you think it's important. So let's, I don't know who's going first.
Oh, where to start? So my youngest here, you heard him giggling as he's watching those videos. And so I have my three children here. And my youngest is 4. And before he was even born, the only language I've ever spoken to him has been Mahican. And he hears me speak English all the time, but whenever I talk to him, he hears the Mahican. And there's not a lot of content out there in Mahican. So this was the first time he ever seen that video. And it was kind of cute just to see him chuckling because, hey, like, I know what's going on here. But so when I first started learning language, I felt like I've gotten pretty lucky. I've been able to meet some great people. Real early on, I got to work with Ronco. I got to work with Joey. And then shortly after I started learning language, the Menominee started, and I got to work with a whole new team. And been able to meet Oneida speakers, Ojibwe speakers. And to me, I just feel like all languages are so important. Every language is just really, really important because each language holds knowledge and it holds history and it holds culture that no other language does. And for this kind of project, my first draw to it was, well, I want to have the Mahican language in as many places as possible. I want the kids in my community. I want my own children. I want them to be exposed to language everywhere they go all the time. And this was just a stepping stone. This was an opportunity to kind of do that. And the more I got into it, and I just thought, I want all the Indigenous children to have the ability to learn their language. And when I say children, I'm not old, I'm 37, but when I say children, I'm talking like 25 and below. It seems like kind of children to me, but those young people, every opportunity that's available for them to hear their language, I just think that it kind of normalizes the language. As small as it seems, it could just be even a poster, but it builds something in their mind and it shows them that language in a space that they may have never seen it before. So yeah, this opportunity for me is I can just see this growing, and I feel like it's already grown. Like it already has grown. That there's more and more people getting involved and talking about it. And boy, this room is full of people that are interested in this topic. So I really enjoyed doing the work. And like I said, I think the kind of foundation for me, and it's developed over time, it's just that thought of that all indigenous languages are vitally important. That a language that isn't spoken anymore or that is lost, just there's so much information there. Yeah, that's what got me drawn to it.
It's real. One of the things I thought about, well, reviewing or watching the lettering come by the Mahican, is how some similarities, being Algonquin languages. A lot of people think of us as really distant nations, but we're really similar in a lot of ways. But one of the things that I thought about while working in the garden is the animacy versus inanimacy. You talk about things that are animate in a specific way than objects that are inanimate, and that the items like corn, that word, and everything that deals with corn is animate. So you always treat it with that respect, give that respect to that corn. But and that comes with a lot of learned lessons and cultural teachings and things like that, which is what he was talking about being important. And at first I was involved with the Captain Winn's project, and I was at a Menominee at the time. We got the proposal for the project, and it took up an interest in it. I'm glad I did. And I'm really glad that it grew to other opportunities, not only working with CMN and other nations, but we had another opportunity working with poetry, which was another cool experience to have, something that probably would have never have experienced if I wouldn't be involved with the language.
Oh,
I think that's it.
yeah. Well, excellent. I think talking about corn, we got to go to Oneida, right? So I thought let's play maybe video 2 on Oneida and video 3 in Ojibwe. So you'll see the English words that are going to be used over here in Oneida, and they'll be similar but not exactly the same for the reason that obviously they spoke about. And I'm maybe pretending or maybe looking like I know more about what I'm talking about, but trust these two, and I'll go by association with not exact. But I'll stop here. This is Dr. Rosa King, who's CMN's Oneida language teacher, amongst other things.
Dodasoas ayoduni nain onast. The corn is starting to grow. Ono oslage yoduni nain onlate su. The leaves are growing on the squash. Onastage yoduni nen ozahedatsu. The beans are growing on the corn. Sakato yoyanele jitniyachi yoduni nen yagonhenkwa. Look, the crops are growing well. Ogoshandakta yoduni waneglux. The weeds are growing by the sunflowers. yo yanele on yo duni nen ohnananda suha dat dwagwas waneglox. If we remove the weeds, the potatoes will grow well. Ganagalage dwahwanhage nen dewahyakani. Tie the tomato plants to the stake.
One of the things that I think about as I watch the videos here is that I'm putting you guys, I don't know if you are all aware, but I'm totally just throwing topics at them that are interesting to me. So it's like I get to corner them. But I wanted you guys, if you wouldn't mind speaking a little bit about the connection between the power of using language, especially with food, and I'm thinking of agriculture terms. And so what's revealed, what is enhanced, if you were to dive on into that, or even some of the terms that or the phrases that perhaps that y'all chose. But I guess to me, in my elementary understanding, I feel like a lot more is revealed about, say, a relationship, or to break it down. And I'm thinking Algonquin specifically, based upon on the word that is used. And I could certainly put an example up on the screen if you like. But I'm going to drink water now, which is what I do when I want my students to talk and I stop talking. So watch me drink water while one of you answers.
My thought, while hearing Dr. King talk, and kind of listening to her words and remembering back, reflecting back on choosing the words for this project, that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, is the word for weeds. You know, I'm not exactly the approach that they took with it, but there's no word for weeds in Menominee. There's I think it's a word that's used, and it's like snake grass or something like that. And then there's another word that's used, which is bad grass. But you know, given to that respect that we should have for this, our you know, the other spirits that are there, and that gift that was given to us that covers the earth here, you know, that just exemplifies the respect that we had, and the relationship we had with nature. So I just want to point that out, you know, so weeds and stuff like that, it is a foreign concept to us.
Some cool things in working on this project, backtracking a little bit, it's kind of interesting. So corn in Mahican is inanimate. And so I'm just kind of curious, are blueberries animate or inanimate?
Inanimate.
They're inanimate? Okay. And that's the same in Mahican. So it's I think that's kind of neat, that you have this animacy and this inanimacy. And I know that sometimes, like with learners, they'll see that, they'll say corn is inanimate. And, you know, they'll kind of think of that like, well, that must be wrong, you know, or that corn is much more important than that. And I think I've come to the point where you have these things that we categorize as animate, and we have these things that are categorized as inanimate. From like an English point of view, some of them are living and some of them are considered non-living. But the more you study the language and the more you learn the language, this is what I would tell learners, is that you'll kind of see these patterns start to develop in your mind, and you'll start to recognize this difference between animacy and inanimacy, and just kind of a neat little thing. So the last Mahican speaker passed away in the 1930s, the last fluent speaker, or he was touted as the last fluent speaker. Who knows, back then, you know, there was dirt roads and trails to people's houses when linguists and researchers were coming to the reservation. And when somebody shows up in a suit and tie, you might not open the door for them, kind of a deal. But So we have thousands and thousands of pages of historical documents that we work from, and from the 1600s, the 1800s, the 1900s. And one thing that I have this theory about the language, or the things that were really important to a person's livelihood, or that were important, those words appear most often in the language. And there's a variety of them. So with corn, for example, like there's words that are specific to washing corn and husking corn and peeling corn. Like these words only exist for corn. You can't use them for other things. Another example would be venison, so deer. That for most other animals, you have this is what the animal's called, and then something for like deer, you have, well, this is a mother deer that's nursing. This is a mother deer. This is a female deer. This is a young deer. This is a deer with antlers. And so you have all these words about deer and about corn. And I think that's kind of a unique thing. And like I said, it's just a theory of that. These words that were used a lot are really important to the culture and the livelihood and survival, and that you have very specific language to those words and about those things. Yeah, that's just kind of cool things that I came across in working on this project. And some of the language in there is pretty specific to gardening, that you wouldn't necessarily use it outside of that area, but all very helpful stuff.
Setting me up perfectly to play the last of the series here that we have, which is Ojibwe, for now. For now, I'll say. But this is Dr. Michael Sullivan, goes by McGizzy, up at Kudere Ojibwe Community, University. Used to be community college. I need to stop talking so we can start.
Minopogozewagana, mashkode semenag. Do the beans taste good? Miskomenag ni we adawa gainag, ivide adawe wigomigong. I'm gonna sell raspberries at the store. Gidamesh ko do naimin minan na sayagando adapan among. We could trade some blueberries for maple sugar. Gizibigan anda anil ga wisa gungan. Let's wash the peppers. Anish maneke na ginzoa nagyo at tagago minag. How much are the blackberries? Ijimamo e mandamanakug ni we bishage benananig and in a way maganug. Our family will husk the corn together. Nibo a gitagane san gana tawi get too young, get a dawa game. We're selling a lot of food from the garden.
So this is, as I mentioned, is the third. So there's 3 videos in the series. The first one's about going on out and starting. The second one, as you saw, is about tending. And this one is more about, we'll say, the going to potentially a farmer's market, or talking about, it's really getting at the agriculture business part of the grant funding source. But I think, and if I can put you both on the spot again, and I'm going to This relationship, I think, to harvesting and sharing, to farmers markets, to trading, to gifting, to reciprocity, that I think is captured in the language, but definitely in the conversation about that involving language around it. So I don't know if you wanted to talk about any personal experiences with it or diving into the language, but I think that this is really an important component to being, I'll say, blessed with a harvest, and as well as the tending goes. So if you guys have any thoughts about that, or share a personal story or something like that around the wealth of the harvest, and then what we do with it. So there's a quote in Robin Wall Kimmerer's new book, as you all know, says in Potawatomi, friend of CMN, used to work at SDI for a year, but they asked someone in South America after they have a successful hunt, where want to store the meat from the hunt, and I'm quoting perhaps poorly, but this indigenous person says, "I will store the meat in the bellies of my friends," and I thought that was awesome. And obviously, you should read The Service Berry to get a much better teaching from Robin Wall Kimmerer. But I'm forcing you guys down a path maybe you don't want to go, so it's up to you if you want to abandon it. But I really like that concept of harvesting that I think happens. Watch me grab my water bottle, everyone. My students, I know it's time to raise their hands, but Brock or Richard, who wants to go first? Thinking about harvest.
So the fellow that was on the videos, when I'm sitting behind the camera, so Panesa, so he's a good friend of mine. He's like an uncle to me. And so in conversations about the language and stuff that we're using and the phrases for this video, kind of just thinking about agriculture, and again, not necessarily shoehorning the indigenous kind of culture into this English sense of like what agriculture is. And so an example of that is, so I brought as many quarts of syrup as I could fit into that crate. This was our third batch of the season. We just finished it the other day. And, thinking about agriculture in a more cultural concept of, those maple trees and how important those maple trees are. I didn't plant any of those maple trees. No one in my family planted those maple trees. They were just there. They exist, and they were, I've always been in the forest. So, if that's a resource, if that's something that's important, then we got to make sure that they stay healthy and we don't do things that are going to negatively affect the forest, and the balance of things that could affect the growth of the trees and the survival of those trees. And, I also think there is the other side of the actually planting, that's certainly something that we did and we do, that planting. But I think that there's also this other component of kind of agriculture, the same thought of like hunting and fishing. It's that, those animals are there and those fish are there, and we can certainly affect their survival, and we can do things that damage the environment that they live in. But we can also do things that help support and maintain that forest is going to be there, for years to come, generations to come. Those animals are going to be able to survive for years to come. And I heard this, I forget where I heard this from, and it was about a cattle farm. And so the treatment on the animals wasn't that good. But, there's this one person who came to this place, and it's like, well, we raise these animals for us, so they demand the most respect we can give them. So I just think that was kind of neat, and that I felt like, wow, that kind of blends in really nice, with existing in harmony. Like these animals that are in the forest, they're vital to our survival, and the things that are out there, they're vital to our survival. So that they just demand the most respect we can give them. And thinking about planting that corn, that it demands the most respect that we can give it. Like we are, raising it you know, and it's like our responsibility to make sure that we take care of it the best that we can. I don't know if there's a point to that, but
What's the point?
yeah.
We found it. We heard it.
Oh, on it.
Mhm.
We gotta go after that.
Yeah.
What I thought about this last video and the past hour is the concept of buying and selling. Like the word for store is Kawaii, which is the trading house, swapping. This word for buy is buying and sell. You know, I don't know, I don't know this personally or exactly to be true, but to me it sounds like this concept came along and they had to develop a word for it. You know, which happened with language, you know, because formerly and traditionally we always traded for things. And I think that's an important concept for us to re-embrace, especially with the world and the way it is and the way it's going. I know what came to mind was Dr. Webster's place in Oneida. She has does a lot of indigenous farming, has methods to it and whatnot. But she also has a place there where their produce and other people can come there and trade and swap, barter. It doesn't have to be food, it could be project or whatever, but something like that really empowers a community and empowers the members, you know, to be self-sustaining. And you know, language is a big piece, a vital piece, but you know, these exercises of gardening, of giving thanks for gardening, giving thanks for your food, it was all done as a community, you know, and that was big for us. You know, we spent our times, you know, in our families, in our houses, you know, hunting maybe with a couple of people, but we are always together. So, and I think, again, that's another important part to our food culture and harvesting and things like that. Another thing I was going to mention was that it's, I mean, like Menominee language is kind of looked at like a foreign language, you know, and we always talk about English as being the bully language and stuff like that. So, and I know in my approach to learning language, I took a lot of, well, how do we say this in Menominee, and looking at it from an English perspective. And learning a language just really just shifts your perspective and your outlook. And also it happens in stages. So, you know, we find a lot of elderly people, you know, we learning that the proper word to use with this object, say corn, we have to use a TA verb, but sometimes it comes out using a TI verb, one that you would use with an inanimate object. It was something that happened, something interchangeably. So I don't want to make it sound like it's making a mistake or anything like that. You know, you're still embracing the language, you're still embracing the idea, and more than likely, the person that is on the receiving side of your message understands what you're talking about. You know, so yeah, I think that's it.
Appreciate it. Got one more bonus video for y'all that I think they set up well, but this one only exists on a drive as of right now. The goal with it eventually is it will be released out. We've got some more voices I'm hoping to add to it, but that's a different presentation. But as a non-native ally for Indigenous languages, I'm very thrilled to get to present and be a part of this project, but I really don't like it when I'm the one who goes to a room and is the only one speaking. So Dr. Rosa was hoping to join us today, but something came up, and I didn't invite McGiz down. I'm sure he's teaching up in LCO. So we put together this video, and this was one of the things that I said from the beginning, was just to have some free flowing questions and then edit put together so that I'm not the only voice you hear if I wind up being in a room presenting on it, and my friends can't come back me up. So this is again, it only exists on drives as of now. Eventually it'll be amended, added to, and put out to the public. But this is specifically on the agriculture videos. It's well, you'll see. I need to stop talking so it can start. So.
So our teaching as Anishinaabe people is to take care of the earth, take care of our environment and everything that was put in creation. That's our job.
We have a really strong connection between our natural world, and it's truly reflected in our languages.
I learned that there isn't a word for weeds because in the way we see things, every plant has its place.
We just see the environment as our relatives related to them, the trees, the rocks, the animals, all of it. They're all our relatives. When you think about your relatives, you don't want to hurt your relatives. So it's as simple as that. You want to take care of your relatives. The environment is our relative.
Gawin mga gumen Anishinaabe yang wayweni na ganawin damang oo. Gidi ki manang ibitamang. Gawin ginawin gidi benda ziman oo ki. May money do the kim. Giyon just sa gumen dash the wayweni na ganawin damang.
All right. I want to open it up if anyone has any questions or anything like that. My good friend Nick over there said that we're here till 4. No, I don't know. We started a little bit late on purpose. Let y'all grab some food. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, compliments, all that, we'll maybe take 1 or 2, applaud and get everyone on their way unless someone's got to run real quick. Or if anyone has any thoughts, questions, anything for these gentlemen. Otherwise, oh, I see a hand. Is it when, you know? I think you got a guaranteed worker right there. So, yeah. In the back, TJ. They're after. So, yeah. I mean, I could give you a timeline, but after is the answer. Yeah. So, and the thought was they're a little bit more advanced than those phrases, but the goal was ones that could potentially use by agriculture classes. Cool. Let's say Walanin and Onewe to the 2 people here that they can't present. I know they'd keep talking to you if you come on up to them. I'm sure I'm supposed to tell you to take more food if there's any back there. Appreciate all you coming to be a part of this conversation. And so thank you. Let's applaud these 2. If you don't know them, join me in applauding their work.